I'm Paul Chatlin, the founder of Plant-Based Nutrition Support Group. We're going to chit-chat for a bit with my buddy Lauren, and when we're done, you could ask either Lauren or myself any questions. We're hoping to have this in about, wrap it up in about 45 minutes, give or take. But if you have any questions, you can write it in the chat box. So we're going to start because we're prompt. My name is Paul Chatlin, and I am the founder of the Plant-Based Nutrition Support Group. And I want to welcome everybody today. I'm very, very excited. I've got only a handful of friends. Lauren's one of them. And she's going to kind of talk about her cookbook, a little bit about her. And then I get to ask questions. So again, as a reminder, anybody has additional questions, we'll answer them. So the Plant-Based Nutrition Support Group is a nonprofit organization. Hi, Sid. Oh, hi, Sid. Sid's my buddy too. Hi, Sid. And we are a nonprofit 501c3 organization. Our doors are open for donations. I say that laughing, but I'm very serious. And any donation is a good donation. It will help bring this health message to more people. The areas of our interest really center around our speaker events, our culinary events, and our support events. And then occasionally we get to do some different type of events like today, where I get to interview my friend Lauren about her new cookbook. And without further ado, because this is not about me, this is really about Lauren. So Lauren, I want to welcome you today. And maybe you could tell a little bit about how you got to this moment, and then give us something we didn't know about you.
Okay, hi. Thank you, Paul. Thank you for having me today. It's very, very generous of you. I appreciate it. And nice to see everybody. So let's see, I got here in 2015, I was diagnosed with some pretty nasty heart disease. My cholesterol had always been high. It was like 330 when I was 18 years old. And I remember the doctor at the free health clinic at college is like, you're not going to make it to 30 years old if your cholesterol is already this high. So I kind of started eating healthy. And I had smoked sometimes, like when I went out to eat, drink with my friends when I was in college, and, lived on like diet soda and just terrible habits, McDonald's. So I'm like, all right, the doctor's right. I'm going to clean up my act. And I started eating what I thought was healthy, kind of a low carb diet. But I ate like oatmeal. I started eating oatmeal for breakfast because I knew that was good for cholesterol lowering and things like that, salads. I stopped going through, McDonald's and all that. So by the time I was like, I don't know, a few years later, I had lost like 10 pounds, dropped my cholesterol down to 300 instead of 330. So it was grooving along. But by the time I was 46 years old, the doctor was like, your cholesterol's 300 still. You need to get a hold on this. Let's go get you a CT scan, the heart CT scan to see if you have some buildup in your arteries. And I was like, sure, great. I knew I was eating healthy. So I thought, I bet I'm good. And I was shocked to find out that my calcium score, the CT score, was 153. And that is 75% worse than every other person who was in my age group. And at the time I was 46. And so I was like, well, hell, I better really go see a cardiologist and get a little serious. So went to the cardiologist, and the cardiologist is like, look, you've got a 20% chance of having a heart attack in the next 5 years. You better clean up your act. And I'm like, okay, well, I already eat healthy. What do you want me to do? And they were like, well, you need to eat like chicken and fish and fruits and vegetables and nuts and avocado and olive oil and low fat dairy. And I'm like, okay, that's exactly what I eat, minus the fish. Don't like the fish. But I was like, everything you just named is 100% what I eat now. So what am I supposed to do? And he's like, oh, okay, well, just continue eating that way and take a statin. And I was like, so if I just take a statin, that's going to make me better? And he's like, well, it's not going to make you better. I'm like, well, when am I going to be able to get off of it? He's like, never, you're never going to get off of it. This is just how it is. And so it didn't make any sense to me. I left there. I was crying. I was really disheartened. I found the Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease book and the cookbook, and I just started following that. And then here I am 7 years later, I have clean bill of health from a different cardiologist. I did the Cleveland Heart Lab panel, and no signs of inflammation, no oxidized LDL, no buildup in my arteries. So you really can reverse this disease like you have, Paul.
So now tell us something we didn't know about you.
Something you didn't know. Well, I don't know if you know this or not, but I was a stand-up comic. Did you know that?
That's funny.
I was a stand-up comic. I made it to the semifinals round in the Funniest Mom in America contest. I was on Roseanne Barr's show. So yeah, I did that for about 5 years. I haven't done it in
Really?
quite some time now. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
here, because you were a stand-up comic, I'll give you one of my favorite jokes and take it for what it's worth, everybody.
Okay,
So
let's hear it.
if you want to know who really loves you, okay, because I have a true love affair with my wife and my dog, okay? So if you want to find out who really loves you, you put them both in your trunk for about 4 hours. Then you open up your trunk, guess who's happy to see you? That's always one of my favorites. Okay.
That's pretty good.
Well, thank you. Thank you. That's really interesting. I didn't know that. I'm glad you shared it. Thank you.
We'll be here all week, folks.
Bada boom. All right. And so here's a question. Tell me why you wrote the cookbook, why you did it. I mean, what motivated you? And I love it. Got some great stuff, but tell us about it. What got you going?
To be perfectly honest, I did it because Chef AJ asked me to do it. I see Sid. Sid was in Chef AJ's group too, that we just did I believe Sid was it was a ultimate weight loss bundle.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
it was like 100 participants, and she had all these incredible things. And so I had all these recipes, and I am writing like a bigger book with more recipes and part memoir, part how-to. But I was like, okay, if Chef AJ asks you to do something, you get yourself together and you do it. So I put this stuff in a book. It's an ebook. It's not a book that you can, a hard copy. And it kind of just spurred me on to do it quickly, because I'd been putzing around, and I know some people, it's really funny because some people can just say, okay, I'm going to do this. And then they find the recipes and they do it. And other people really struggle with this. And I was like, I want to help the people who are really struggling, who really need this, and maybe have some familiar foods for them, because, sometimes you can get a little fancy and you kind of just want like what you used to eat, pizza and burgers and tacos and, things that are familiar. And so I wanted to give people that. And I have like lasagna in there, and I have next week, we're going to do this again, except I'm going to cook, and I'm going to make sloppy joes and queso. And so that's something that I thought, these are things that I just wanted people to be able to recognize, like, oh, I used to eat this. And then I also did a lot of sauces and salad dressings, because it's really hard to get your vegetables in if you don't have a good salad dressing that you like, or you don't have a good sauce to throw over, your veggies, make it yummy. So that's why I did it.
All right, wonderful, wonderful. So if somebody wants to purchase it or get the cookbook, how do they do that?
They can just go to my website, which is wellelephant.com. I can put it in the notes in the chat.
Okay, please. Yeah. And just, we're all curious. Well Elephant. So explain that one.
Yeah, thank you for asking about that. I forget to tell people about that. I named it Well Elephant because elephants are strong, beautiful herbivores supported by their community, and you are too. I just love elephants. I love how they all take care of each other. And so that's what I named it after.
I love it. It's interesting. We mirror, because you do that with elephants and gave the analogy of like how they take care of each other. And my theme has always been together as one. And
yes.
I'm, when I get to see you, it's wonderful. But then I see Sid, and Sid's part of us.
Right.
And, this is how it should always be, where we all just work together. There's no agenda on the PBNSG side or Sid or yourself. We just want the message out there, because unfortunately, doctors aren't learning it in medical school, and doctors aren't teaching it to their patients for the most part. So it's up to us.
Yeah, that was the most frustrating part when I ended up being sick is that the doctor couldn't help me. The doctor didn't even know about this. I mean, and so I did, kind of like you. I just said, if I can spread the word, I'm going to spread. I just want to help people get better. I want people to just to even know that this is an option.
And I'm with you because I mean, the way I look at it is we're adults. If they don't know, they can't make an adult decision.
Right.
They just go to their doctor. And like you, my doctor said the same thing. Cholesterol was at 350. All right. So have skim this, skim that, skim this, skim that, and then get on your statin. And then I got hit up with the side effects of multiple statins until I got one. And in my case, my doctor was happy at a baseline of 280 for 20 years. And that's what caused the heart issues that I had because it wasn't under 150.
Wow.
So, I mean, I totally get it. And it's a little frustrating when you go to doctors today, all these years later, and they still say the same thing. But I can't worry about what they're not doing. I can control what we are doing, and that's why we're doing it. So there you have it. So now I get to ask some really interesting and additional questions. So,
okay.
All right. So how do beginners, in your opinion, as a chef, how do beginners set up their kitchen for success? So they can manage this and make sure to include batch cooking because that helps save my cooking life.
Yeah. That's tough. I mean, first, I guess you're going to have to make the decision. Do I want to clean out my pantry and throw away all the things that are bad for me, or am I going to still go through them? That's a personal decision. I kind of got rid of everything. I think for me, it was easier to jump right in and not dabble. I think when you dabble, you don't let your palate change. So that to me is the first bit of advice is maybe clean out your pantry. I'm not going to tell you if you want to go through your food is expensive. If that's, if you can't do that, fine. But maybe get rid of all the stuff that's not compliant and really get into it. And have, your beans and your lentils and your peas and your rice and your quinoa and all that, and all the good fruits and vegetables and all the things that you're going to make sauces out of. And then you were talking about batch cooking. I make this thing, I call it home base, my main meal, and that's in the cookbook too. But really, it's just the thing that we all eat. When you get good at eating like this is your go-to meal. And it's like I just said, maybe it's brown rice one day, it has a whole grain, or maybe it's quinoa one day, or maybe it's bulgur or amaranth or whatever your whole grain is going to be that day. And then you have a lentil or a bean, and then you have some steamed greens, and then you have just whatever other kind of vegetables you want. So that's a bowl, and you're going to batch cook it, like you said. Now, Paul, some people don't even want to batch cook. So you can have cans of beans, and you can have frozen brown rice. You can have it ready. But if you're going to batch cook, then of course you're going to make your beans in a big pot or your Instapot or whatever. And just be ready, and then make some sauces on the side. I also do some tempeh or some tofu once in a while. I do sweet potatoes. I just make like a big old bowl, and I have a good sauce. Sometimes I just put like coconut aminos on the rice, or some Bragg liquid aminos, or sometimes I put salsa or sriracha, or sometimes I make a sauce like sometimes I make a seed sauce, or sometimes I make a sauce with silken tofu. But I always have that ready. I always have it in my fridge. I call it home base or my main meal, because that way you're not standing in your refrigerator saying, what am I going to eat? And that usually is you're eating a bag of potato chips while you're standing in your refrigerator saying, what am I going to eat? You're like ready to go. So that's what I think, to have it set up like that.
All right. No, I appreciate that. And it's some really good advice. Every time you say something, of course, my mind starts thinking about things. For those who are here today, when I made the comment of batch cooking, it's like, and I'll get to it, in a question in a little bit, but I batch cook only because I don't love cooking, and I don't want to have to go through that process. And what I love about Lauren's cookbook is it doesn't force me to have 30 ingredients or 40 ingredients or 2 hours of committed time up front and during cooking. So it's a lot more basic, and that's, somebody like me that appreciates it. So let me ask you, what are the basic ingredients that you have in your kitchen? Like, what are the basics that people should have?
Of course, like I said, the rice and the beans and the all kinds of vegetables. I always have tons of kale and broccoli. I do a lot of, I have frozen broccoli in my freezer at all times because I don't know, I just go through so much broccoli. I love it. But I do like lots of fire roasted tomatoes. I think that's a huge one I always have on hand. I always have lemons and lime and, some citrus, because either I'm going to zest it for a little extra flavor, or I'm making a sauce with, some lemons or limes or oranges. I always have hummus or stuff to make hummus. I always have, aside from all the fruits and vegetables, I have, what else do I have? I have like sriracha, and I have the coconut aminos and the bragg liquid aminos. I have something to make things sweet. So either a date paste or a date syrup, or I have coconut nectar, something, for sweet. And then I have all kinds of frozen berries and vegetables too. So I can make like a smoothie. I make a smoothie like dessert. I make it like a little ice cream bowl. And I know some people have the Yonana's machine, and I actually have one too. And I can't say that I use it. I just make like a big smoothie for dessert a lot of times. So, you're gonna have to find the things that you like and then keep those on hand. But those are the things that I tend to cook with.
Yeah, it's interesting. I get to, when I interview chefs, great chefs like yourself, I always get to add, for me, I agree with everything you said. My big thing is I just make sure I have oatmeal, raisins, and fruit, because that could take care of one good meal every single day. And then I also make sure to have a complementary of lettuces, and I like a whole bunch of different ones, along with whatever salad dressing is out there and available. And if I don't, I'll just take lime and just massage the lettuces. And then I always make sure I have some onions or some cabbage or something to put in. But I'm with you, and together we just answered that question. So that's wonderful.
Yes, you're right. And it made me think of a couple other things. You're right about the oatmeal. And then that brought to mind the flaxseed and the chia seed. So yes, and the cinnamon and things like that you're going to put in your oatmeal. That's a really good point. And then also for the salad, I do eat a giant salad every day like you do. And you're right about having all kinds of different lettuces and arugula and cabbage. And I buy like the coleslaw mix that's already kind of shredded and in a bag. And then I dump that in my salad as well. So I think that's, yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, everybody listening, I just read a great article on cabbage, and it's like, wow, talk about a superfood. And plus it looks pretty and purple in your salad. So, okay. Let's talk about kitchen equipment. And, so I'm a steamer guy. I like my veggies steamed. I just do my broccoli and my cauliflower, my sprouts, my carrots, even my potatoes. I don't jump into the Instapot or anything else. I just haven't. I support it, and it's a smart thing to do, but I don't mind letting those beans cook for a while on my stove. But that's what I'm a steaming kind of guy. Tell us about your equipment.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't have an Instapot either. I don't know why I don't, but I kind of like cooking my beans too. I don't know, but I have a good rice cooker. I would say the number one thing, and I hate to say this because it's a bit of a pricey item, is a high-speed blender. I personally have a Vitamix.
Yep.
You can maybe get one secondhand if you need to. I actually bought mine secondhand from somebody. My Vitamix I use more than once a day because I'm always making a salad dressing or some kind of sauce or a smoothie. So I would say that's my number one item, would be some kind of really high quality high-speed blender. And the Vitamix is made to last like 100 years. And if you ever have a problem, you call them up and they literally answer the phone like, hello, Vitamix, what's wrong? Well, how can I help you? And they have the best customer service in the entire universe. So I would say that. I do use my air fryer a lot. I make French fries all the time, or onion rings, or buffalo cauliflower in it. So I use my air fryer a lot. It's totally not necessary. You can cook your stuff in the oven on 400. Parchment paper, I would say that's a huge deal.
Yes.
Some people use those Silpat mats. I don't use those either. Like silicone baking mats. I don't know why I don't use those, but I like my parchment paper because that's how you're going to bake in the oven without oil. I even cook pancakes in the oven. Like I just put, cover a cookie sheet with my parchment paper and throw everything in the oven. So that, I guess, a nonstick pan. I recently bought a scan pan. Again, it's a little bit of an investment, but I'm pretty careful with my stuff and it lasts a while. So I would say that's a good investment. But really, you can get by with not a lot.
All right. No, that's great. And by the way, there's a real art to the Vitamix. It took me like a lot of ruined meals because I would hold on to it too long and then it was all pureed. I'm like, okay, that doesn't look good. That's not gonna taste so good. So sometimes you just have to just touch it. It's a quick one, and then be really careful. I think I've drawn blood almost every time when I'm cleaning those edges. So just be careful when you clean, because mine comes out, like the blade actually comes out.
Mine doesn't come out.
Yeah, well, mine might be third hand or something, but my point is just be careful when you clean it because those serrated edges are very, very sharp. So be careful.
So the way I clean mine is that, well, first of all, my blades don't come out, but I rinse it and then I put water in there like halfway and maybe a little soap and I put it back on very low and it cleans itself. It kind of just gets everything out of there.
I'm laughing about that because yesterday I scrubbed my Trek deck and I started with just water and a little bit of soap, the dish soap. Well, I didn't know that if you put too much dish soap, you're having to put like 20 million gallons of water to kind of brush it off because it keeps on setting up.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I'm going to use that one. That's a great idea. Just heat it, put it up on halfway. Okay.
Yeah, drop of soap. And you don't even need the soap. You can, anyway.
No, write that down. Sid, hey, Sid, did you know that one? We'll talk about it in a moment.
I bet she did.
Yeah, of course she did. All right. So let's talk for a moment about the mental side of cooking. And again, I apologize to everyone. It's a little bit about me right now. I'm not a big cook. I don't love cooking. Okay. So for me, being whole food plant-based, it's oatmeal's easy. Lettuce is easy. And then the evening, it's whatever I can do, but I just, for me, it's like the whole setup of all the prep, making sure I have all the ingredients, all the time it takes to make, and then the cleanup after. So what do you say to people like me who just don't love cooking?
Well, I think that you don't love eating as much as I love eating. That's what I would say, because I love to eat. Yeah. And if I don't make it, I don't get to really eat a good meal. So I don't know. I'm highly motivated to eat. But I also have, I get it though. I used to not love to cook. And honestly, I'm very lucky because I have time, and a lot of people don't have time to cook. Right. And time is really, it's a blessing when you have it. But I think the mental part is to really think of it as like for me, it's like a meditative thing. I love to cook now, and I used to not like it. But even like first of all, I always have all my fruits and vegetables washed ahead of time. When I come home from the grocery store, I clean my sink, I wash all my fruits and vegetables in my sink. I'll put a little vinegar and baking soda and then put everything in there, let it soak for like 30 minutes. I rinse it all, put it out on my clean dish towels, dry it all. So it's ready to go. That takes a lot of the hassle out because, every time you go to the refrigerator and you have to cook something, you're like, oh, I got to wash the celery. It's a pain. So if it's all cooked, already washed, that's a win right there. But I think you have to just change your attitude towards it and say, okay, this is meditative. This is love I show for myself and the people who I'm cooking for. And I find it just, you can make a mug of tea and put on some music or, TV show that, is a guilty pleasure, and whatever you're going to do in your kitchen, and just make it a little more enjoyable. But and it's also like making art, you're making something with your hands, and you're keeping busy sometimes. And I don't know, I love everything about it now. And that really was a switch for me, because I used to feel the same way, like, oh, I got to do this. And I don't
Yeah,
feel
and I will tell you, I mean, for me, what I do is I say to myself, okay, one day a week, I'm going to check the weather. The worst day weather-wise of the week, be it too hot or too rainy or whatever, that's going to be, I'm taking the full half day, and I start with 20 push-ups, because I just feel, this is just something I want to do. And then I put my headset on, and I'll listen to my music while I do it. I like the idea of washing and prepping before. I actually admit that while I don't like cooking, I like looking at cookbooks, because I'm always looking for that recipe that could change my life, So no, I appreciate that. That's some really good, interesting stuff. Now, let's talk just for a minute about something that I just kind of gathered. Like, when you're starting this journey of trying to improve your health through, food, it's amazing. It's just the food that did it to so many people. Like, I live in a house divided. Okay. Now, I've been married a very long time, and I'm here to proudly announce to the world, I love her as much as I love my dog, who's 16 years old, Sophie, maybe a little bit more, but don't tell Sophie. And, her family history is live forever. So I'm not going to, she's become a little more plant-based, but it's really a house divided. And when I cleaned out my cupboard, we just split it in half, like, you got your side, I got my side, and it's worked. But what do you suggest to people who are here today that, live in a house divided? And then answer another one, which is, I have learned that when you go whole food plant-based, it's a gift, the greatest gift you could give yourself, because you will feel healthier, you'll be better, you'll be energetic. But the world around us doesn't help us continue. Whether it's not as much support at home, not as much support with the friends and family, it's certainly not, we're not getting the support from the world we live in. But how do we deal with that? So it's really two things: house divided, and what's your approach to the outside plant-based?
Those are two good questions. I live in a house divided too. Unfortunately, my husband, he eats a lot better than he used to, and he doesn't eat meat, but he does still eat dairy, although less. But like, he'll eat a cheese pizza, but his creamer is plant-based now, and his ice cream even is plant-based. So he's come a long way, but he rarely eats what I cook. He has a few things that he will eat. So it's hard. It really is hard. And it's frustrating, because I'm like, all you have to do is open up your mouth and eat, what I cook. And you could be, and his health is pretty good too. So I feel like he's not highly motivated for that. But yeah, and it's even harder, I think, if you're not the person who was doing the cooking. Like, if you were used to somebody doing the cooking for you, and now you have to do the cooking for yourself, it's hard. But for me, like, there was nothing that was going to stop me. And he was supportive of me doing this diet, or lifestyle, but he wasn't getting on board, fully. So it's difficult. But you have to just love yourself and give yourself permission and be like, I'm doing this for myself. You can do it or not do it, but this is happening. So it's harder if you have to do the cooking, and it's harder if, you're cooking for somebody who's not going to eat it. I get that. And, I teach a class. It's an online class, ACE Plant-Based Eating. And I actually cover this, and I do go through recipes where, like, you can make something that's plant-based and then throw some rotisserie chicken on it for, somebody who's not going to eat it, or, make something else that's going to make them happy too. Maybe put a little real cheese on it. But, for me, it's like, you have to take care of yourself. You have to do what's right for yourself. You don't have to be a jerk to the people in your house about it. Just kind of like how we're doing, Paul. Just, I love you. I want you to be happy. If this isn't going to make you happy,
you do you. It's always you do you. It's like, and the thing is, I don't give in. Like, I'm never going to give in to anybody's pressure, because then it will be like not me taking care of me. It'll be like me taking, advantage of me almost. So no, I get it. I really do. And but it's a challenge, it's a challenge. But what isn't a challenge that's worth something, right? That's how I look at it. So
Exactly. Yeah,
all
I
right,
mean, and
yeah,
yeah, and then the second part of your question,
yes.
the outside world that is not supportive, you know what? You just have to be prepared. The key is preparation. If you're
Mhm.
not prepared, then you're not going to, um, so I feel like now I just got back from like a quick vacation. I went to New York. I took my cereal, which was just, the raw oatmeal, the oats with cinnamon on it and some puff kamut. I had like that. I had my oat milk. I had a good salad dressing with me. I was going to New York, so I allowed myself a treat. I normally don't do like the Kite Hill cream cheese, which is made out of almonds, but I knew we were going to be eating bagels and everybody was going to be eating bagels and I was going to want a damn bagel. So I went prepared with my cream cheese and I made veggie cream cheese out of it. I took the little Kite Hill container, I emptied it out. I chopped up radish, cucumber, and green onion, mixed it in with the Kite Hill cream cheese, put it back in the container. I was ready to go with that. I had baked corn tortillas, which were, I made into chips when we had salsa around us. I was ready. Like, I could called ahead to some restaurants and I made arrangements for oil-free meals. But when we were places where I couldn't eat, I had my salad dressing with me in a leak-proof container. I had a refrigerator in my room where I could just control what I can control, but I mean, that Kite Hill cream cheese, that was my big cheat. Like, I don't stray. This is how I eat. Even if it's going to be a salad with some yummy dressing that I bring.
Yeah, and like in a pinch, I asked them, hey, listen, do you have a lime? And that's all I
Lime.
need. In a pinch, I'll say, hey, do you have give me any mustard, any vinegar? Like you
Yes.
learned a little bit of tricks, but I like what you said as far as planning. Like it's interesting. For me, it's every night I go to, before I go to bed, I'm like, okay, what are you going to do tomorrow that you have to make sure you either eat before you go, or what are you going to take with you?
Yeah.
And like it's pretty simple to make a pound of brown rice and then add vegetables and beans and then just take it with you. I like the spices, come up with a spice concoction you like, and I guess my little secret to everybody, at least my personal secret is like you got to get your head around that things have changed. And I went 54 years of eating everything in sight and loving every minute of it to now I eat so I can enjoy the other things, but I don't get to eat the things I grew up enjoying. And if ever a line should be crossed, then don't beat yourself up. Just realize, hey, I had a moment and we move on. But those are
I
just
feel, oh, sorry.
no, that's it. That's all I
I
got.
was just going to say, like, I actually enjoy eating more now than I did then. You are right. You have to wrap your head around it, but I never feel deprived. I always take my stuff with me. I don't sit there and watch people eat. And that's why I bring my salad dressing. And yes, in a pinch, I get a lime or mustard, but I want something good. If I'm eating lettuce and a lime, I'm a little cranky, to be honest. I want something delicious and I don't want to watch everybody eat. And so that's why I'm prepared. Like if I go to a Chinese, if I know we're going out for Chinese food, I'll call ahead and see if I could get steamed rice and some steamed vegetables. And then I bring some yummy tofu that's made like with a good Asian sauce. So I want something extra. I want to feel like I'm eating. So I go the extra mile to be prepared
Mhm.
because I don't like to sit there and watch people eat and I don't like to eat blech food. So
Hey, here's a fun. You guys want to hear a funny story? I'm going to go with the idea that the answer is yes. So, like what you're just hitting a lot of personal moments for me. I'm just laughing inside because I'm like, I got to tell this story too. So I go to restaurants, like as a family, right? And we used to go all the time. Now it's like my sons and family, they don't want to go to the 2 or 3 restaurants I have. They're not really into, the type of food I'm into sometimes. So my son came over the other day with he's like, okay, so if all you're gonna have is salad, maybe I need to teach you how to drink because I don't drink. I'm not a drinker. So he started preparing all these, like, I took a sip of like 20 different drinks, just a little sip, and then actually found one that was palatable because his theory is we got to get you a little liquored up since you're not going to be enjoying the company because your food is the same. I just found it to be kind of funny that so it took me, 64 years, to actually palate a drink. Like, isn't that funny?
Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh.
okay.
But it does. It makes you feel like you're included, and I'll have a
Right.
glass of wine when I go out or
Yeah.
something like that. I mean, yeah.
Well, listen, this is now the part. And by the way, I just want to welcome another dear friend. God, this is like friend moment. Hi, Holly.
Lovely.
Okay. So now everybody could get off mute if you want, and you can start asking questions of Lauren.
Good.
Okay.
I think there's a comment in here. Let's see.
Let's take a look. If there's some comments, any questions?
I have a question.
Please.
How much rice and quinoa and grains should you be eating a day?
Well, that is a very good question. The thing about eating this way is like you get to eat what you want and you get to eat until you feel satisfied. And it's not like I did Weight Watchers my whole life where I was measuring and at points, and I was like the queen of Weight Watchers. And this, as long as you stop eating, it's best to stop eating right before you get full. I'm still working on that myself. But, you can eat until you are satisfied. So, I mean, are you worried that you're going to eat too much or not enough?
No, not enough.
Not enough.
Yeah, I'll add to that, which
Okay.
is like people were saying I was getting too skinny because I was eating too many fruits and vegetables. Okay. So I know because I was a weightlifter how to gain weight, how to lose weight. Okay. Now on the plant-based, you're not going to gain a whole lot of weight. But if you're going to gain weight, any way, shape, or form, you could sit there and just eat a whole bunch of rice or noodles, a whole bunch. So, Duncan, what I'm saying here is, I agree with Lauren. You could eat as much as you want of the fruits, vegetables, beans, and whole grains. But if you're going to only eat the whole grains, then I wouldn't recommend that either. You really need to kind of mix it all up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure because I spent about a month eating like a lot of whole grain just to put on a few pounds. It was tough, but I'm just saying that just to clear the air. I'm glad that you're eating other things.
Yeah.
But you could eat as much as you want of any of this until you feel almost full.
Right. Duncan, are you eating at least like a cup maybe or half a cup? Or
I eat half a cup of quinoa with 2 or 3 meals a day.
Perfect.
Okay, that's good. I think that's good.
Yeah.
When you're getting your fruits and your vegetables and your yeah, I think
Can
you're
you eat
good.
white potatoes just baked plain?
Yeah,
Potatoes?
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Potatoes I eat potatoes every day. I eat white, purple, and sweet potatoes.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Any next question? Anybody? Don't be shy. All right. So I have a question for everybody. And we'll just go around the horn. Everyone, if you don't mind, you can take your mute button off because I'm just curious. So you have a choice between potatoes, rice, or noodles. Okay. I like noodles. That's me. What about you, Debbie? What's your favorite choice? What do you like?
Debbie's my buddy, by the way. Not only my buddy, she's my sister. Our kids are
Aw.
married. Our kids are married, and we say when you get married, in-laws is stupid. We're sisters now. So that's my sister.
I love
it. Everybody.
All right. So you could here, we'll do this. You could, if you don't want to unmute, you could just put your hand up, or if you can, I'm just curious, anybody weigh in? I like noodles, rice, then potatoes. That's just my list.
Mhm.
Who's next?
I like rice,
you know what I'll do?
Potatoes.
Mhm. Potatoes, and potatoes become French fries if you slice them. That's the best news ever. I mean, I probably eat French fries every day. I just slice up I'll rotate between, like I said, the white, purple, and the sweet, and you just chop them up into French fry shape and either stick them in your air fryer or stick them in your oven, and then they're French fries, which
God.
my
Air
God.
fryer for sure. Sorry, I just figured out how to unmute, and I'm
Hi,
sorry I'm
Debbie.
late. I wrote on my calendar 1 o'clock, but I didn't realize it was Eastern.
Oh,
But my go-to almost every week, and it lasts for 3 or 4 days, is the peanut noodles. I make the rice noodles or the ramen noodles, and I make your peanut sauce with the peanut powder, rice vinegar, syrup, and cocoa aminos. And oh my gosh. And then I throw in, like, I take a huge bag, I get at Costco, of frozen vegetables, either like Normandy blend or a bag of broccoli and a bag of like tricolor cauliflower and peas. And I make a huge casserole, bake all that, and then I throw the noodles in with it, and then I just heat it up and eat it. It's just so easy and it's so good. But I need some more recipes because I probably shouldn't eat noodles every day.
you can eat noodles every day as long as they're like whole grain, or if they're, the lentil, whatever, quinoa noodles, or
They're
Yeah,
brown rice.
Just
Brown
be a
rice
little
noodles.
careful. Just be a little careful about the amount of the Bragg's amino you put in, because I used to go to town on that stuff because it really tasted great. And then I started realizing, you know what? I need to cut it down. It still got salt to it, and by just cutting it down, I just like the essence of it, that taste of it. I didn't need to be drinking this stuff. So be
Yeah.
careful about that.
Yeah, it's
good.
only like 2 tablespoons of each of those.
Yeah.
So not bad.
All right. Anybody else? I'm
Oh,
just
I
curious.
like
Yeah.
I like using coconut aminos because it's a little bit lower in sodium and
Yeah.
flavors a lot of things. It'll be my go-to on a salad dressing when I don't have something made, or sometimes just with like steam frying something, like veggies or things like that. But in answer to your question, for me it depends, because I would say sweet potatoes would be hands down, but I like experimenting with different grains, like not just, I don't do rice as much. I do more, I do have an Instant Pot, so I will do different grains that, have a little bit more body to them, like kamut and farro and things like that. So I really like them. And the other thing that I wanted to mention, and I guess the best way to get around this is, again, just ask, because when I guess sometimes that we go out to like an Asian restaurant, and you have to be careful with the pasta because some of the wheat stuff is egg pasta. So I invariably try to look for something that's a rice pasta, but because otherwise you don't know what you're getting.
Yeah, you have to ask. That's a very good point.
Yeah. That's, I've gone to a few Asian restaurants, and, for sure you could get the vegetables, just make sure that, for me, there's no oil on it, but that's a tough one. That's all, about it's tough to go out, it's tougher to go out. Question on that coconut aminos, I've never tried it.
Paul,
No. I tried the Bragg's amino. I like that, but the coconut, I've seen it. Does it have a coconut taste to it?
No,
No,
not
not at
really.
all.
And it's by Coconut Secret, and they have one that's garlic infused, and then they have a regular one.
Right. Oh, no,
And they tend to be, they're not that much sodium.
right. No, Debbie, I'm glad I've seen it. But I always
140 milligrams.
Right. I mean, I'm cool with all that stuff, but I mean, I was worried when it said coconut.
no.
It tastes like coconut.
No, it
Yeah.
doesn't.
Not
But
really,
I
no.
love coconut, so I wouldn't mind.
Right. Okay. Well, no, I love learning. I'm going to buy it. And then Lauren, I'll be in debt forever if it's
It's
true.
good.
So if a recipe calls for soy sauce, since I don't usually use the soy sauce because even the low sodium soy sauce has a lot of sodium,
Right.
I just usually use the aminos. Now, yeah, if I'm using a tablespoon of it, it's going to be a little higher, but it's not going to be still as high as what's in the soy sauce, even if I'm getting like an organic low sodium. So
I agree. I totally agree. All right. Anybody else?
Hi, this is Sid weighing in.
I said,
Hi, I don't have my picture on today because I'm looking for a road trip tomorrow, so I don't want you to see me flitting around the kitchen right now. But when it comes to the coconut aminos, since we're on the topic, I've never bought that myself. I wondered how much saturated fat is in there because coconut is so high in saturated fat. I wondered if the aminos are too. Does anyone know?
Zero
Zero.
Zero
It's not-
fat.
Oh, okay, great.
Debbie, can you read the
calories.
ingredients?
Sure. Let's see. Organic coconut blossom nectar, water, organic apple cider vinegar, and sea salt.
how
It's-
much sea
so it's-
salt?
It's
How much
not
sea
like
salt?
a fatty thing.
No.
It's from the coconut blossom, so it's not like the coconut meat. So yeah, it's not a fatty thing because I actually avoided it for years too, thinking the same thing.
You know,
Okay,
what's wild is that Sid and I, you know, we've been living our lives in this plant-based world for a long time. And it's amazing that Sid, you haven't tried it. I haven't tried it. And guess what? I'm going to be buying it in a couple days. I'm going to be trying it. Now, what does it taste like? Is it like a soy kind of taste to it? Or is it
It's-
like, what do you
No,
get from it?
It's soy free. That's why I bought it because I'm a breast cancer survivor and my doctor always told me, don't eat soy, don't eat soy. But now I know that's all
That's crap, but oh, but
crap.
what does it
Yeah.
taste like though? Like, look, could you describe what it tastes like?
I can't even.
Never-
Go ahead.
Well, the other thing is I have it in a little spray bottle and if I make air popcorn, you can spray it on there just to give it a
Mhm.
little flavor. I don't,
And then you could put some little, what is it called? Nutritional yeast on top of that. I
It's
don't even
really-
know. What
it's
do they
really
taste-
tasty. I just put some on my finger.
Can I try that finger?
It's hard to describe, but it's like the Bragg's. It's not as salty as the Bragg's.
Okay.
No, it doesn't taste salty.
It's a little bit of a sweet, it's a little bit of a sweet taste, but it's not like overwhelmingly sweet.
No. Hey, Sid, when you try it, call me in about a week. Let's compare our taste buds and see what that, you know, because I'm going to try it, guy. I'm going to try it.
It's
I'm in.
good.
Okay.
You'll like it.
okay.
And they
Anybody-
had a giant bottle at Costco. I don't know if that's still there because you know how Costco is, but
Oh, I bought these at Whole Foods. They had them on sale, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago. So I got the coconut aminos and then I got the other regular kind. So
Yeah, I mean, Kroger has it too. I just went shopping the other day at Kroger. They have it. So everyone pretty much has it. It's just,
yeah.
I've been ignoring it. So it's now
So
going to
you're
be,
saying this would be a good substitute for soy sauce? The coconut aminos would be a substitute?
I mean, it depends on the recipe, but I do use it interchangeably with, yeah, I use it as that.
It's
Even
more
though it doesn't taste, I mean, the Bragg's is more like a soy sauce, but I definitely use the coconut aminos at where I would put soy sauce.
neat. All right, we're going to try it. Hey, Sid, you just give me a shout. I'd like to see what you think. Anybody else have any other questions for Lauren?
What's a good quick sauce to put over your frozen cooked vegetables?
Well, I think like what Debbie was saying, and it's in the, let me get my recipe book. It's in the recipe book. I call it a peanut sauce and I make it out of the peanut butter powder. Let's see, I'll tell you what's in it.
Okay,
Does that sound good? Do you like stuff like that?
yeah,
Okay, hold on, let me find it. I have a romesco sauce. Okay, peanuts. I use a 1/3 cup of peanut butter powder. And then I start with a 1/4 cup of water, and then you can add more depending how thick you want. A tablespoon of rice vinegar, a tablespoon of maple or date syrup, a tablespoon of Bragg liquid amino or the coconut amino or tamari, whatever you have. A clove of minced garlic, or you could omit that, and a squirt of sriracha. And if you don't like spicy, you can leave out the sriracha, but I use that a lot to throw over vegetables. It's really good.
sounds good.
very
Thank you.
good.
All right, well, everybody, if we don't have any other questions, going once, going twice. So I want to thank Lauren. Thank you, Lauren, so much for joining, educating us a little bit. getting to know about some of the things about you that we did know and one thing we didn't know, and for being part of PBNSG. And I want to wish everybody a wonderful day. You could go on our site to get more interviews and more education at www.pbnsg.org. And Lauren, any final thoughts on your end?
Just keep going, everybody. Keep
Yeah.
going. Just be prepared. And if you mess up, you got another meal coming to do it again.
Every day. All right, everybody, nice seeing you. New friends, old friends. My best to everybody. Bye, Lauren. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching and for being a part of the PBNSG community. If you found this video helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for even more plant-based insights, expert interviews, and delicious recipes.